Super Bowl money.
You got the payment.
Super Bowl money.
You got the payment.
Super Bowl.
Oh, we got another one today, you guys. Man, I just jumped off John the Liquidator channel. Shout out to the big homie, man. Check this out. Dylan Edwards. We're going to get into it today. Today we got time, as Prime say. You look at this transfer portal as a whole for CU, man. It ain't more crazy than other colleges, and some, other colleges are even bigger. The Ohio States, the Bamas, the Georgias, not so much Georgia this year, but just some of the players that Prime lost is the reason for discussion. A lot of people got their own opinion about Kermani McClain, whether he was a good fit, whether he worked out hard, whether he was destined to make it at CU or at any college for that matter. You got ex-coaches coming out talking. You got a lot of hearsay coming out of his camp and social media just blasting the kid. I'm going to say this, man. Salute the kid. Best of luck to him. These are still young men, 17, 18, 19 years old, and everybody got an opinion about the next man, moves in life or watching their pockets. So as just a fan of the sport, as a former athlete, salute Kermani, man. I hope you figure out a home you can get to, and I hope you become the greatest version of yourself on and off the field. But Dylan Edwards, let's talk about it. To me, Dylan was like an extended son of Prime's. So this, to me, was a shocker that he ultimately left. But I said it a week or two ago when I started seeing the highlights. And sometimes you have to watch, believe what your eyes tell you. Coach Prime, as a whole, as an individual, when he was a TV host with NFL Network and things like that, Prime will tell you what's on his mind. Sometimes to a fault. And part of why you have Coach Neely and others around is to be a buffer. Some things Coach Prime just can't say, but people around him can say it. So for me, when I saw the Welch, and salute the kid, man, he's balling. But when I saw Welch balling and the attention he was getting, and then they talked about getting Edwards into the scheme in different ways. Then you had Wilkerson has been there that basically wasted all of last year. You asked me. I mean, he got a few touches, but to me, like smoke, it was a waste. Not all of it was due to coaching. Some of it, and a lot of it was due to just the scheme to fit the players, but it wasn't much changing from play calls, even given the circumstances. So when I look at the running back position at Colorado, specifically Prime, he will tell you, when it comes to running backs and tight ends, like he would rather throw the ball to a receiver than a tight end. He would rather throw the ball to a receiver than hand it off to a running back. But he knows you got to have a running game. With his son at the quarterback helm, I don't expect them to run the ball and lead the nation in rushing. You got a quarterback that can throw. Even though they got Pat Shurmur as their OC, with Prime's son being there, I do expect them to have more of a passing offense, even though Pat don't have a history of having a pass-first offense. So I think it's geared to let Shedeur win the Heisman, throw up big numbers, and go, have a high draft stock, which I think he's going to have anyway. People can say what they want. He wasn't the top three best quarterbacks in this year's college football, hands down. I don't care what anybody say. I know he can play. He's accurate. He holds on to the ball too long for me, especially. You've seen Tom Brady, and it's funny because Tom Brady is like a good mentor to him. You've seen Tom Brady not have great offensive lines, but how quick he got the ball out was telling. So I look at Shedeur and I say, okay, yeah, he can play on the big scale. I didn't doubt that coming from Jackson. I didn't doubt coming out of high school. But, and this is not always an indication, coming out of high school, you look at some of the recruits or recruiting colleges that hit some of these young men. Coach Prime's son has always been Coach Prime's son. So for him not to be a 5-star or not have crazy offers was an indication of something, whether it was the competition they were playing or the numbers he didn't put up or whatever. I'm just giving it to you, giving it to you. So that was an indication. You watch him last year, terrible line. He can throw the ball. He's accurate. He has a strong arm. He holds the ball too long, if you ask me. Also, he doesn't do the best job of reading the defense, if you ask me. I believe, and this usually don't happen until you get to your junior, senior year in college, where you start learning and understanding defenses. You look at, they talk about Drake May and the guy from last year that's at the Colts now. Talent, they can run fast, they're tall, they got a strong arm, but just like Drake May reminds me of Trubisky, to me, Bo Nix is probably the most NFL-ready quarterback in this year's draft, and he's not talked about as the top 5. Why? His experience. And some team, I hope it's the Raiders, that get lucky and drafts this kid. He's showing you grit, toughness, the willingness to compete. He's showing you he can stand and throw. He has a big arm, but the experience. He's seen more defensive snaps, more defensive schemes, more defensive blitzes and stunts than any other quarterback in this year's draft, probably combined, the top 5, I would say. With that comes the ability to dissect plays. To me, Shedeur hasn't seen or shown me that ability. Hold up. Yeah, I'm on the rooftop today, trying to enjoy the weather, giving y'all an outside podcast. But to me, Shedeur hasn't shown the ability to read the defense. He's able to give you the first read, sometime the second, a quick check down, but he doesn't show me, he doesn't wow me with his defensive prowess as a quarterback. To me, last year, running a read option for him, one, he didn't use his legs enough, so it didn't scare anybody thinking he was going to keep the ball. He kept it a few times, but most people weren't afraid of him, and you didn't have to worry about him keeping it. So to me, that was a coaching scheme that didn't help him. To me, he's a natural pocket passer type quarterback. So under center, being able to use the play action a lot. But even now, you see him, they're still in shotgun, pistol, read option. That offense is geared towards the first read. It's hand the ball off or keeping. It's your first read. It's usually your slant or your post. Every now and then it'll be a back shoulder, or a backside read. So to me, I think that's one of the things that having a coaching staff assembled as Coach Prime has it, which is full of NFL talent and or coaches, you would think that they would start extracting some of those things that are going to be required at the next level. But again, Dylan Edwards in that Colorado scheme was not meant to run the ball, to have that balanced attack, that pro-style ready offense under center play action. To me, I didn't think Dylan Edwards last year was big enough or knew how to pick up blitzes or read anything like that. He was fresh out of high school. He could just play. And sometimes you just got talent that needs to be on the field because they can play. NFL players have, Kansas City Chief with Nicole Hartmans and different players that, are used in a utility type way. Player that reminds me of Tyrann Mathieu. So it's players that are talented that just needs to be on the field because they are talented. Now, to me, out the whole team, Dylan Edwards came back this year. He seemed to put on some weight. He seemed to have some grit, his style. All of that seemed to be going really well. But the problem that I started seeing, and I started seeing this last year, I knew it was going to come. Sometimes the way that you do things are great for a season. It was, CU team was terrible. Before Prime got there, he came, he injected them with some confidence and some support and some new Louis luggage, as he say. But you have to know your team. You have to know your kids. As parents, you got to know what works for each of your kids. You can't discipline them the same way. You can't praise them the same way. You have to know your kids. And sometimes you have kids that don't do well with, um, how do I say this? They don't do well with lack of outward support, or they do bad with outward support of others and not them. You see what I'm saying? So when I started seeing, and Prime does this, and a lot of people will try to say I'm hating on Prime. I love him to death, and I hope him nothing but success. But I'm just a fan and a man looking, inside from the outside. When he sees new talent or fresh players or flashy things, he gets really excited, which a lot of people do. We do like that in our day-to-day lives. However, when you have a position, let's just say running back, and this is your kid, he's been with you, he's our guy, and you go out and get another guy that, one is an upperclassman, went to a way better university that has a longer, richer pedigree, logically, that player is going to feel some type of way. And sometimes you have to know that. And you may want that or this, and it may not be the right time to go get it. Or it's, hey, have a conversation. I'm not saying he did or he didn't, but obviously something wasn't said or wasn't done for him to up and leave. I don't believe it was just strictly for money. Prime is like family to him. He did come back. Everybody been joking with him. He did come back with some new ice this year. So he had some money. It wasn't like, he was broke. However, when you look at Dylan Edwards and his style and what he brings, I don't believe a team wanted to pry him from CU just because. He can go and be in the returner. He will be a slot receiver, mark my word. He will be a running back. He will get 7 to 10 touches a game for big plays. I can see 3 or 4 in the slot, 2 or 3 in the backfield as, trick plays, gadget plays, and he'll be in the return game. To me, that's his style. To me, that's what's going to help him become who he is until, probably next year when he wants to settle in. But I think receiver, running back, utility guy is what he is, the best version of himself. So when you start seeing Welch, the running back, and now you go get a running back from Ohio State, the writing's on the wall. And I said it then, before Edwards got into the portal, I said Wilkerson is gone too, guaranteed. And what happened today? Wilkerson is gone. So it's not like, oh, it's no big deal. Prime might say, oh, we ain't lost nobody. But for me, the problem I have with that, and you don't see other coaches doing this. So again, this is the way you are. Sometimes even you have to reel in the way you are. Keeping it too real can be not good at all. So you can be honest and blunt, but sometimes you got to know when to shut up. And you'll hear Prime say that about people. So you can't sit up there and you recruited some of these cats to come play for you like McCaskill and gave them high praise. And then when they leave, you say, what did we lose? Or we ain't lost nothing. So for me, I'm like, Nick Saban wouldn't have did that. But that's what you get when you get Prime. So to me, Dylan Edwards is going to hit him harder. It's going to hit him different. It was like a son to him. And if it don't, then it really lets you know the dynamic of their relationship. Maybe it really wasn't like Prime tried to make it seem, So to me, losing Edwards was huge. But I saw this when I saw Slusher leave. Everybody keep looking at Kermani like, oh, it ain't a big deal. Everybody want to play for Prime. Everybody don't want to play for Prime. Trust me, there are a lot of people that don't want to play for Prime. Some people might look at it and say, man, I don't want to play for Prime if his son's there. For the known reasons. What I'm saying? I think we'll see a different Prime. I don't care what anybody say, a different Prime after his sons are gone. Everybody up there aren't treated equally. Everybody is treated fairly, but everybody ain't treated equally. Hands down. Just like they will bring in certain positions, they'll tell you, I guarantee you Prime won't bring in a better safety to replace his son. He'll find a way to still get his son on the field shallow. That I can guarantee you. Why? Because that's his son. So in one token, you'll bring in whatever you have to make the team better. I guarantee you can have a number one safety from Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, whatever. You wouldn't go pick him up and let him start over Shiloh. It wouldn't be a fair, equal competition. It'll be a fair competition, but it wouldn't be equally valued or equally assessed. I can guarantee you that. And so that's my point of everybody treated fairly, but everybody's not treated equally. So with that, when you're a head coach, you got the freedom to do what you will at, how you want to do it. And so I'm excited to see how many more players, the old lineman, Washington, I think his name was, when he left, it was like, wow, that's a shocker. We'll see how it pans out with the guy that was there last year. I forget his name, big boy, who had to sit out. I've been looking at like where he been at, and I saw, a few weeks ago a tape where he was, coach said he was working his tail off. But sometimes you get excited with new flashy things that you forget what you have, and then what you have decide to leave, and then you're like, oh man, because I'll tell you guys this, everybody has said something about a player that's left. Oh, they not loyal, or they're not this or not that. Yet they're happy with this 40 to 60% of the guys that came in from the transfer portal. Those guys weren't loyal either to their own program. So, you got to kind of look at it, both sides. Don't say a guy because he's leaving is not loyal. Well, you happy with a whole bunch of unloyal people coming in. And a lot of fans are like that. They don't care as long as you playing for them. So I got nothing bad to say about Edwards. He was a great young man from what we seen. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do for you. Even if you got Coach Prime, you got to do what you got to do for you. And this shouldn't be a shocker. You had Nick Saban, the greatest coach of all time, and some people already want to put Prime in that category, which is ludicrous. However, Alabama couldn't keep 50 5-star players. Like, it just don't happen because 5 stars, I don't care. Athletes want to go where they're going to play immediately with the least amount of resistance. There's not many athletes that want to go somewhere where they're going to be challenged extra hard. To be, a 3, 4, 5-star recruit, you've been good everywhere you've been. You're not trying to go somewhere where you got nothing but seniors or juniors and seniors and you not going to see the field for 2 years. It just don't happen that way. It don't happen. And again, players are right now type players with NIL and all that. And I don't knock any player for the NIL deals because people say, oh, they just left for the bag. Prime left Jackson State for the bag. Like, I don't judge him no different than I judge a player. Well, Prime gave him an opportunity, the player, and CU gave Prime an opportunity. And he went there because Florida State didn't rock with him or whatever other schools. So it wasn't like that was his first choice either. But he left Jackson State for what? The bag. It's cool. Better yourself. Better your coaching staff. Better the players that come through, and the coaches that come through, to better them. So we can't get mad when players leave or coaches leave. That's what happens. And you're going to see more players leave, and I think you're going to see a couple coaches leave. If not this year, I'm pretty sure at least one this year is going to leave. That's just what it is. Prime way is not the best way for everybody. Just like other coaches' ways may not be the best otherwise. Some players like Prime, the player, personality, but when they get there, it's a total different way of coaching than they ever been around. Some players are just quiet, don't like the limelight. That may not be a place for them. Okay? And I wish we started understanding that championships and programs are not built on 1 or 2 Travis Hunters. It's not. It's built on blue chip players. 2, 3, 4 stars. But a lot of them are like, you get a lot of walk-ons, a lot of transfer. That's what builds that depth. So all the highlighted names and, the superstars, that's great. But when one of them go down, what do? They still got Travis Hunter playing both ways, like constantly. Now, on tape from what they show, and this is only what we see is what they show, he's taking more reps at receivers. You don't see him guard Miller, which is going to help Travis and help Miller. So for me, I'm looking at it and say, to me, Travis Hunter as a whole from last year to this year, and we'll see what the tape says. The tape says he's a dog, he could play. But, like, what are you really doing to prepare him to the next level with the splitting of the reps? I would play that tape from Stanford. I think it was Stanford. Or Arizona. It might have been Stanford, where he got beat the whole game, and I would be at corner every day. And it's coming from an athlete, former DB receiver. I stopped playing receiver when I got beat a game just consistently the second half. Like, I could play receiver, but I'm about to, this will never happen again. And to make your receivers better, put them up against your best DB. And you don't even see that. You see what I'm saying? So even, the path of least resistance for superstars, again, everybody's treated fairly. Everybody's not treated equally. So that's my take on Dylan Edwards as a whole, man. Salute the kid. I wish him nothing but the best. For all the other players that left, hey, I hope y'all find a home that y'all can play and that y'all can thrive, not only on the field, but as men. Shout out Coach Prime, Well Off Media, everybody for at least bringing us the footage where we can analyze it as fans and have our own opinions. And that's the beauty of being in the sports world. So salute everybody. Salute CU. We still rooting. I think they're going to have a massive, massive year. They already had a massive transformation. I just hope they keep growing, man. I hope Prime continue to grow, continue to learn from past schools at Jackson and last year, and understanding, continually getting better with his recruiting team and being able to deal with all these different personalities. Like that's a job in itself, man. So I wish him continued success, and I hope they continue to do what they do. And again, man, you know what it is. We'll drop another one. It's your boy Trauma, Primetime Sports on Demand. You know what it is. We don't always get it right, but we gonna always bring that trauma.
Super Bowl money. You got the payment. Super Bowl money. You got the payment. Super Bowl money. You got the payment. Super Bowl money.